73% of Indian SMEs are facing working capital issues. Do you think it needs to be solved? You will find out about what firefighters do and what transformative leaders do in solving working capital issue, which is just not an issue of efficiency, but more fundamentally, it's an issue of strategic importance. I'm Samir. I lead the Advantage program for India. And in this episode, you will discover what is the difference between firefighters and transformative leaders at small businesses in solving working capital issue. Working capital has been the issue for decades, for years, for centuries, for small and medium-sized enterprises. What is this evil about? Let's look at this chart that we have, which basically tells you what the firefighters do. If you look at the left-hand side and the right-hand side, it will tell you the multiple relationships of the variables that they have in between. And it will tell you that the firefighters only look at the surface areas of the locked working capital, and therefore they just manage the efficiencies, and that's about it. But it doesn't give them results. The firefighters just look at the surface. They look at the symptoms. They look at the working capital, which is locked up in receivables, which is locked up in inventory, which is locked up in raw materials or finished goods or WIP inventory, or locked up in the cash, which is not utilized to the maximum extent. But that's not enough. If one were to investigate further, one has to look at what are the underlying reasons because of which the SMEs are facing working capital issues. What are the reasons why receivables are so high? What are the reasons why inventories are so high? Does it have to do with efficiency? Does it have to do with the most fundamental reasons, which have to do with the quality of the customers that you serve, the quality of the products that you sell, the product mix that you have, the competitive position that you have? And are those the reasons why the working capital, inventories, the receivables, and the unutilized cash levels are so high? And that's what transformative leaders do. Now look at this revised chart, the revised diagram that tells you what are the transformative leaders doing. On the right-hand side of the chart, you will discover that these are the ones who are investigating this problem better and not only solving the efficiency-related issues, but are also solving the strategic issues, which are basically causing the working capital levels to be high. They go below the surface, they look at the underlying causes, they look at the reasons because of which the levels are so high. One has to look at the lifetime value of the customers. One has to really look at the quality of your segments that you're serving, and one has to look at the competitive position that you need to improve. Unless you do that, working capital issues will remain as issues, and you might end up with better efficiencies, but you might still not really solve the working capital issue when one looks at it. And it is not to do with managing working capital for the current revenue levels of the business. It has to do with what is it that you need to fund your growth, and efficient working capital management will go a long way in unlocking what is locked up in your operations, and that cash, that fund will allow you to be able to grow faster. So it's not an efficiency tool, it's the growth tool. Decide, do you want to be firefighters or transformative leaders?